When you're working on a boat, the time is not deducted from your life.
Wow,
So
that's powerful.
it's actually stopped. So I'm living in a green gray zone.
So if we work on this boat for a year,
Yeah.
we just gained a year in our lives.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like
Yeah.
that. Good. And it's nice to be doing little projects like that instead of fuel tanks. You couldn't really see the fuel leaking, but you could smell it. Sealing stuff that's leaking. We don't really have things like that to do anymore on this boat. It's pretty good.
Like it started dripping over here.
It is leaking. I can feel in there. I can feel a little water, and it's dripping on the battery.
Not fixing things, but hey, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Installing a new stereo, part 2.
Yeah, you know what? Don't ever buy a cheap stereo. Bought a radio on Amazon. I didn't notice it was refurbished. I don't know how. I just probably was drinking beer when I ordered it. And refurbished, yeah, so it didn't even work. It sucks because I wired it all up and everything. Now it's 2 weeks later. And I'm putting in a different radio. So the new little area where I did the radio, the ship to shore, and a new stereo, a little extra switch here now, and I put a plug here with USBs and voltage. So there, yeah, it looks a little better, and it's all one piece instead of a bunch of different separate things that used to kind of be falling apart. Did you ever notice that many of the YouTube sailing channels you watch are people repairing or upgrading their boats? On our first sailboat, we could have just sailed it and done nothing to it, but the list of wants and needs sits there waiting for you. There were things on that boat that needed to be done, like resealing things that leaked, but they weren't really needs. I could have just left them like they were. And then there were things like running the halyards to the cockpit or installing the tiller tamer, which made sailing easier. This new boat is no different. There's the to-do list, which includes things that have to be done. There's things I should do soon, and things I want to do, but don't really have to be done. And I keep this list and prioritize each item on the list. There are some really important things, like replacing all the seacocks. That can't be done until our next haul out. There's things I should do soon, like replacing the water pump impeller. There's low priority things like installing a new strut on the forward hatch, installing the new stereo and Boomkicker. They weren't high priority items because of safety, but they're high on the list because they make sailing better. The list of priorities also has unexpected things that get added, like fixing leaks that we found when it was raining, or waterproofing the bimini top. I'm not sure if this list will ever get done, but I know new things will keep getting added to it, and there's always something that needs to be done. But it's a labor of love, isn't it, with old boats? Well, it's time to install this Boomkicker. You know, as you guys might remember if you've been watching my videos, I put one of these on my Catalina 22. So I've done this once before. This one's just bigger. This is goes in the mast slot, which I have to grind out with my Dremel because this is too wide. I gotta Dremel the mast slot a little. And then this goes on the boom. So let's do this thing. Here it is. Boomkicker. I've temporarily put on the mast bracket and the boom sliding bracket so I can mark the location of where I want those. And you know, they give you this plate here that you're supposed to put inside your mast track, and it worked good on my Catalina 22 because up there it had a little place for this to slide in then slide down. But this mast, I can get it in there and slide it, but it hits the gooseneck is riveted on. So even though I can get this into a slot, it just hits the gooseneck. So my alternative is to grind out a new slot and make a slot to put this in, or people over at the Boomkicker company give you extra long screws so that you can drill and tap the 2 screws, which I'm going to do. That's what they recommend, so I'm going to do it. So my first step is to go up on deck and see where this thing, about where it's going to mount. So I'm going to adjust the boom so that it's about 6 inches off its lowest point, 6 inches above its lowest point. Boom now adjusted to about 6 inches higher than its lowest point. Its lowest point would be almost rubbing the bimini top, and it's also a little higher. I'll go show you with the gooseneck. You can see it's, based on what this looks like, it's a little higher than 90 degrees. Let's go step on the dock and take a look. I found that with my setup, my Boomkicker is just a little bit too long to fit inside the mounts or inside the brackets that are already there. So I'm going to shorten it, and you can shorten it up to 5 inches. So I'll shorten it about 2 inches, I think will be good, so it fits. Shortening the Boomkicker is pretty easy. You just loosen these screws with the provided Allen wrench, and then move it back. You cut them evenly, and then tighten this back up. But before I do that, I'm going to tighten them back up right here. And then now that this has moved to a new location, I'm going to go out and see. And I wonder if you're only going to shorten them like an inch. Why couldn't you just tighten it back up like that? Oh, because there's some indentations here at the ends that catch the end of it. And so you have to put it at the end like that. Okay. Well, anyways, I'm going to temporarily tighten it up right about there, and then go see if that length works before I cut it. It's a good idea to have all your fittings like this on. Like in my case, this end of the top slide is going to be right up against where my boom vang mounts, and I put this on so I can make sure I get all the spacing right. So I'm going to end up cutting off, what is that, 3 inches. You can cut up to 5. And so I marked it on this side. I'm going to take this bracket off and hacksaw these and put this back on. I didn't have to do that on my Catalina 28. I think it just depends on who's been fussing with the boat and how they set things up, and if they have adjusted things. I think it'd be better to have this bracket back on to hold these while I do this. It smells like melting plastic. But that was taking way too long. Let me try something different. Smell this stuff. That's what the inside of a Boomkicker looks like. I have my mast end back on. You can see how the ends are cut. The ends used to look like this. They had a little like plastic wrap they put over it. And I don't know, what is that? That's about 4 inches I cut off, I guess. Something like that. So now everything should fit. I'm going to go up and mark the location where these are going to drill through, and the location where these 3 screws are going to drill for the boom. In my case, that bracket has to go from here to here, so I'll be drilling out this loop here. I don't anticipate ever using it anyways, so there's a couple more down there. I drilled and tapped one of the screws, holes, and I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to do the other one once this one's on. Got this bracket on, so now I can attach the Boomkicker to that. Now I need to drill these loops out. This is in the way, and I don't use it, so it's going bye-bye. Before I do anything else, I'm going to slide this end of the Boomkicker in there, put this back in here, and then see how it looks before I drill the rest of the holes. loudest whistler in Florida over there. That looks a lot better, like it's distributing the load equally. A dolphin in here. When it rains, we've noticed all our canvas just drizzles and drips tons of water, so its water repellency is gone. So we found from a Better Boat the waterproofing spray. We're going to spray that today. And while I was at it, I got the zipper and snap lube, because we always have problems with that, especially on our powerboat. All the snaps have broken and they get corroded really easily. So we're going to check this out and kind of report back on how it works, and I'll put a link in the description to where you can get the stuff if you want to try it.
Jason's doing the honors. Tomorrow it's supposed to rain, so it'll be a good time to come back out and see if it worked.
You know, one of the benefits to being at a marina like this, instead of having your boat just on anchor, is that yes, it costs more, but it's safer and a lot less worry. I never slept well during storms when our Catalina 22 was bouncing around out on its anchor before we got the marina, paid to have it at a marina. But more importantly, the people. There are people doing complete refits, overhauls. I'm going to introduce you guys to a guy named Peck who is just completely redoing this whole sailboat, and his skills are amazing. But most importantly, the things you can learn from these people. If you're not a seasoned sailor, like I've been sailing 2 years, these people have sailed around the world many times, or at least been sailing their whole lives. And the help you can get from them and the friendships you make, it's definitely worth the price of admission to me, to be in a marina. You know, we were sitting in the cockpit one day having beers, and we ended up inviting someone over for 2 hours, just had a great afternoon. So it's not just the sailing of your sailboat, it's not just the fixing of your sailboat. Sometimes it's just the fact that you have it in a marina and your neighbors come over that makes it feel like it's all worth it.